Ladies and gentlemen, we're here on Philly Jazz Blog today, and we're talking with Mr. Kevin Valentine, and we've had the pleasure of being able to utilize the legendary Ortlieb's Jazz House as the site for this interview. And for those of you that don't know, it's located in the Fairmount section of the city of Philadelphia.
Actually, Northern Liberty.
Northern Liberty section of the city of Philadelphia. I don't know the exact address, but it's on 3rd Street north of Spring Garden Street. And if you look it up or Google it, you'll find Ortlieb's. So, Mr. Valentine, welcome to Philly Jazz Blog.
Reza, thanks for having me, man.
It's a distinct pleasure getting an opportunity to talk to you and find out about another talented vocalist that's right now residing in the city of Philadelphia, although I understand you come from the Big Apple.
Yeah, I was born and raised in New York. Spent most of my life there. Been in Philly now for about 15 years. But
oh, well, that's Philadelphia status. You've been here 15. You've been over here a decade. You're here. You're in Philadelphia.
Hey, man, I still got to tell you though, I do miss New York. But
okay.
Every now and then I just get that longing, to go back.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd say that I got like a lot of my early musical influences from being in New York.
Okay.
I sang with the Boys Choir of Harlem as a kid.
Okay.
In fact, that's where I met Mike Boone, who has been one of my mentors down here ever since I came to Philly and started getting into the Philly jazz.
Okay, well, Mike's a regular here.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay,
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
What other kind of influences did you have as a young man? Did you do the Motown thing? Did you do church?
Absolutely. Well, I think it was a combination of both. I was raised as a Seventh-day Adventist, so I came in from the church angle.
Right.
But when I initially went to college, I went to a small Adventist college called Oakwood College, and the reason that I mention that is that's where Take Six went. It's also where Brian McKnight went. So there's a heavy musical influence on that college.
Okay.
So like, you listen to Take Six and you hear those harmonies and those rhythms. That's kind of the things that I grew up listening to. My dad went to that college, sang in a quartet. So I grew up listening to those rhythms, those harmonies, and just kind of stuck.
Okay, all right. And are you an instrumentalist too?
As a teenager, I played acoustic bass, stand-up bass, but folks would always tell me, you know what, you sound a lot better when you sing than when you play the bass. So I kind of stepped away from that.
Okay.
Although that did give me a good grounding, kind of, a little bit of theory, so that I can look at things and kind of figure my way and stumble my way through things. Yeah.
So at what point in your life after your academic training did you decide, because I understand you're a lawyer.
Yeah, I'm an attorney.
Okay,
Don't hate me for it, but
No. And well, I think Robert Cray said something about a boat full of lawyers sank or something.
That ain't right, man.
Right. But anyway, I think a lot of artists are challenged by the choice between making a dedication to the music and then doing something other to eat.
Well, I mean, that's a great point. I've struggled with that. To at a point now, I still do struggle with that. However, what I finally came to realize is that you have to be true to yourself.
Gotcha.
You're going to find a way to survive if you're really doing what it is that you love to do.
Okay.
And in my case, the law was always something that was interesting to me. God bless me, I guess, with the intellect to be able to do it.
Okay.
But I knew that where my passions were the arts.
Okay.
And so I went to law school, worked in law firms for a while, but realized, you know what, man, you can't really be happy until you give yourself back to the arts.
Exactly.
And so that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm happy to be back into the scene, and hopefully the scene will accept what I'm trying to do.
All right. Well, why don't we mention right away for folks when you're actually going to be performing here at Ortlieb's so they can consider coming down and checking you out.
Well, hey man, I will be here on Thursday, April 30th.
All right.
The set starts at 8 o'clock, runs until midnight. And I'll be here with an organ trio, which is one of the things that I've been experimenting with recently. Had been doing some jam sessions with the Bodessa Brothers and Lucky Thompson.
Oh, okay.
And as a result of those jam sessions, there was something about that organ sound and the way it would swing that really clicks with me.
Okay.
So I've been, trying to put something together. And actually, this is going to be the debut of this new trio that I'm trying to work with in developing this organ sound.
Both the Bodessa Brothers and Lucky are very popular here in Philadelphia.
Absolutely.
And very good artists too.
Yeah,
so
some of the best in the area.
You got a hell of a team there, and I'm sure the show is going to represent, in terms of that. Where other have you played in Philly, or where else are you going to be
Well,
playing?
I've played Chris's Jazz Cafe.
Okay.
I've played Rembrandt's in
Okay.
the Fairmount area, the Pyramid Club at the top of the.
Yeah.
So I've played in a variety of places. I've also done the Four Seasons in
Okay.
Lowe's.
All right.
You know, trying to, I guess, bring forth that smooth male jazz vocalist presence, which sometimes I don't find there's a lot of anymore.
Well, you know, it seems that Philadelphia seemed more to be more of an instrumental jazz mecca than a vocal jazz mecca. Although we certainly have some talented people here. There's a gaggle of divas that are performing here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, you talk about Denise King, Michelle Beckham, and
and on and on, Pearl Williams,
absolutely.
And on. But in either case, it's hard pressed for me to name a whole bunch of male vocalists, and so maybe this interview will help promote the male aspect of vocalism here in Philadelphia, and have you as one of the lead runners in that.
Well,
Do you have a new CD out, or a recent CD that people can look for, and where would they go?
I am going right now. I'm actually not going, but coming out of the studio. I've come out of the studio recently. I've got a promo CD. It has about 5 of my tunes on it, because I'm just trying to use that to whet the public's appetite about who Kevin Valentine is, what his sound is. I like to say that my sound is something that I call velvet swing.
Okay.
I was doing a gig somewhere once, and somebody said, you know, it sounds like you got velvet in your throat. And that stuck with me. Because besides that, the velvet thing, I think, speaks to the fact that I can do a ballad, I can nurture the ballad a la like Nat Cole or guys like that.
Right.
But beyond that, I love to swing, man. I love up-tempo stuff. I love the rhythm. I love to scat. And so that's where the swing part comes in. I didn't want to just be seen as just this romantic balladeer, although I can do that.
A crooner.
Right, exactly. Right. I want to kind of be full. Right. I don't want to just be a loud singer. I want to be somebody who can get up on the bandstand with instruments, throw my voice into that mix, and have it be a complimentary thing. Not just that I'm out in front of the group, but I'm really an integral part of it.
Fantastic.
You know, so that's kind of like my approach.
Right. I definitely want to give you an opportunity to tell people, A, where they can go to get your CD if it is available, and then 2, how they can get to your website or any contact information for people that might see this internationally on the web and want to contact you. So why don't you tell them how they can get that?
My website is www.keval, that's Keval music.com. You can also look me up on MySpace. I'm on MySpace.
Okay.
The CD right now is being pressed, and so hopefully by the time I play Art Leaves, I'll have CDs to market at that time. But I know that by the time I play the Philadelphia Art Museum, because I'm playing the Art Museum on June 12th, doing their Art After 5 series, by the time I play the Art Museum, they will definitely be out. So people can, hopefully learn more about what it is.
But they can hear you on your website, because I visited your site. So for those of you out there that want to hear what he sounds like when he's performing, definitely check out Keval.
www.kevalmusic.com.
Okay, fantastic. When did you know you had your own sound?
Well, as I was saying a few minutes ago, one of the incidents was when someone came up to me and says, "Man, it sounds like you have velvet in your throat." It's like, wow, I never heard somebody approach things the way you approach them. And I think that was one of the times it kind of let me know I was going in the right direction. Another, I think, thing that let me know was I would come into jam sessions and do standards, things that singers cut their teeth on, and people would say, "I never heard it like that before." And so I knew that I was bringing something fresh to something that had been done. And really, as an artist, that's what you really strive for, to always be creative, to always try to push that envelope just a little bit further, try to advance
and make
the
it
cause.
yours. In today's world of American Idols and things of that nature, when you hear people like Simon say, "Make it yours," you were doing that before they even started.
There you go.
Making it yours.
Yeah, because that's really what it's about. I mean, I came up in New York singing with like R&B trios, and I would always struggle with that because the goal of an R&B trio is to, guess what, sound just like the record.
Right.
I could never sound just like the record, and in fact, singing R&B with the group, that was a problem. It's like, man, you don't sound like the record. Well, I didn't want to sound like the record. I wanted to sound like me.
Okay.
You know, and so I think being a jazz musician and a jazz artist is giving me that freedom to put my stamp on it.
Right.
Even if it's something that's been done before, I can bring a fresh approach and just come at it from Kevin Valentine's end. Right. That's what I strive to do.
Let me ask you something. As a person who's lived in New York, which is still the Mecca as far as I'm concerned, but Philadelphia was always a close second.
Absolutely.
And over time, since the 40s, 50s, 60s, some people think jazz has lost its luster. So I usually like to ask people what their interpretation or perception of the state of jazz in Philadelphia now.
Okay.
Is it dead? Is it still a heartbeat? Is it jumping? What's your impression?
I think that Philadelphia is a wonderful town to be a jazz musician in. Now, having said that, there are things that could be done better. I wish that there were more venues to play. But getting back to my original statement, the reason I think it's a wonderful town to be in, you have so many educational institutions here that are laboratories for musicians.
Right.
I've met a number of wonderful musicians coming out of Temple,
right.
coming out of Penn, coming out of University of the Arts. So this is a wonderful place to develop. I just wish that club owners at times would realize that they have such a wealth of talent in the town and would do more to get that talent out.
I agree with you totally, because even with the new change of management here at Ortlieb's, there's a question about what direction they're going to head in terms of the music, because those that were used to the old Ortlieb's may find a different experience. We're just not sure yet. Time will tell in terms of that.
Exactly.
But there are some old line places like Natalie's out in West Philadelphia. They've been doing it for a half a century.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the places that I cut my teeth. You know, you can find me there on a Saturday afternoon, you know, going up and down the scales and trying to riff with the saxophones and things like that. In fact, I think, that was the first time that I met Rich Badessa. It was at Natalie's.
All right. So folks, you need to come on out to Natalie's too. I want to give everybody a play, but you never know. The best thing about Natalie's is you never know who's going to be there.
Exactly.
Anybody you go out there in the middle of the afternoon on Saturday, and you can hear Kevin Valentine or any of a number of other people out there too. Really, so make sure you come out. You know, the purpose of this blog is to help promote jazz all over the city. And to highlight certain talented individuals like Mr. Valentine, to make sure that the folks out there know about it. And if you're coming to Philly, make sure you come to a place like Ortlieb's and check out whoever's performing, because you're not going to be disappointed.
This is true.
What other would you like to share with this audience about Kevin Valentine, or what you're doing that we can...
Well, I guess at this point, I'm trying to naturally promote myself, market the music. I'm looking, I think, at this point to grow geographically, to start to play New York, to start to play Boston, to start to play DC. I think that because there's a lack of male jazz singers there, I think there's a niche for me. Now, that's not to say that there are none, because of course there's Kevin Mahogany, and you got Kurt Elling, and you've got, you know, some other artists that are doing some interesting things. But when you compare that to the number of female vocalists out there, we lag behind. And so I think I can help fill that void, and that's really what it is that I'm trying to do, trying to bring back that strong, masculine, male jazz vocalist image, because I mean, there's such a rich heritage. Nat Cole, Johnny Hartman, you know, just Joe Williams, it's just a bunch, man. And I look around now and I'm like, who is looking at that and looking at that as the model for who they want to be? And you just don't find that. You know?
Well, I certainly think that with your talent, that there's a potential for you to be one of the leaders in bringing that whole piece back. And I'm looking forward to following you myself and helping you in any way I can to help promote the fact that you're now here in Philadelphia and that you're still active on the scene and trying to get bigger and better. And I want the audience of Philly Jazz Blog to come out and support Kevin and all the other Philadelphia musicians so that we can keep this thing alive.
Support the music.
I mean, there's been a lot of things, including one of our local historic jazz stations has now cut the programming in half so that jazz isn't played 24 hours a day. There's no full-time jazz station in Philly.
I had to sign up for Sirius XM just to listen to jazz 24 hours a day. And that's not right. Not in a place like Philly.
Yeah, not in Philly. Not in Philly. So, Kevin, I'd like to thank you for your time, sharing the time with us today. I want to make sure that this is loaded up as soon as possible so folks can check you out. And if there's any other piece you'd like to share with our audience, I want to give you a parting shot to say what you need to make sure they know who you are and what you're about.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. Having been on the jazz blog for a while and looking at the folks that you've interviewed, I feel honored to be on that list now. And so I want to encourage people to support the blog. It's important to a blog as well, how many people come to visit it and how many people, spend their time and put their comments on. So that's an important thing. So I just want to give you that shout out because I really appreciate what you're doing.
Well, thank you. And by the way, for those of you that don't know, the address is phillyjazzblog.blogspot.com, or just Google Philly Jazz Blog. Kevin?
That's how I found it.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, man.
All right.